Hi, my name is Kyle Cornell. I'm currently a sophomore in the STEM program at Forest Hills Northern High School. And in this portfolio, I have documentations of all of the projects that I've done throughout this year. Um, so, for the first project, we did an engine dissection. So, pretty much, we were given an engine and we were told to take it apart. So, prior to this, we took notes, as we can see over here. Um, And so we started kind of learning about the different parts of an engine and what they did. And then after that, we started taking it apart and recording what we did so that technically we would be able to put it back together, even though we never ended up doing this. So down here, you can kind of see this kind of stuff I've learned about the shroud, the flywheel, all that stuff. And so that's kind of what we learned from it. We learned all the parts and kind of how they worked. Something that we could have definitely improved on is my partner and I. We didn't we didn't record everything as well as we should have, and we hadn't really learned everything prior to disassembling the engine. So it was a lot harder for us to pick out certain pieces until afterwards, after we had gone online and figured out what uh, each part was. So the next project that we did was an energy audits for Consumers Energy. So we worked with In the Image, which is a nonprofit organization, and we helped them create um, a new plan to replace their incandescent light bulbs, which are a lot more costly than LEDs and are also a lot more environmentally harmful than LEDs. So we decided that we're going to work with them so that we could save them some money over time. And so we did the whole process. We gave them a payback period, and we really put a lot of effort into it. Um, I think that as a group, we could have been more organized. We were really spread out. We didn't really focus all of our time and effort into this. We were doing other things on top of this project. So up until the last 2 weeks, we weren't really super focused. So I think we could have done a lot better job with that. But overall, I think we did a good job in doing it, and they ended up implementing the energy audit that we proposed. Right here, we have a link to our presentation. So if you want to go watch that, there you can. Up next, we have a bottle rocket project. So for the bottle rocket, um, the first thing we did is we kind of made a really rough sketch of what we wanted, which this is kind of what it looked like, and this was our first attempt at it. So we came out and we gave our rough ideas of what we wanted, and I think that my partner and I really made a good effort at recording what we wanted and making all the changes that we thought were needed. We documented stuff a lot, and we got, as you can see, the different amounts of solution that we used as the launch to propel the rocket forward. Um, we have a video link that will walk you through our different launches and kind of how they went, what we used, and how we changed it. And then finally, we went through and just talked about the whole experience. So this is what our final rocket looked like. I think that we ended up making a really good final rocket. We ended up launching over 20 feet in the air. And yeah, so the process was really good. I think that we definitely could have improved um, on like recording like specific amounts. We took a lot of pictures and we made sure that we had like evidence that we were doing stuff, but it was hard to always make sure that we were recording the amount of solution we're using for fuel to launch the rocket. We just kind of overlook small things that we later realized are pretty important. The next project we did was a battery project. So we created a lemon battery to power an LED. You can kind of see briefly right there, especially in the shadow. Um, so our goal was to create a little circuit that would power it. So in this, we kind of learned about cathodes and anodes. Um, I think that for this project, I really put a lot of time into the research, and I actually really fully understood what was going on. I think I was really aware of what I was talking about, and when I presented this, I felt like I was very knowledgeable about the topic. Um, I think that I could have gone to a little bit more of just research onto the battery outside of just how it works, just kind of throughout history how it's improved. That's something that I definitely could have done that would have helped improve my project. But I felt like I did a really good job with just the understanding of the project. Next, we made a hydraulic arm out of cardboard, syringes, and water. So you could move the arm by pulling back on the syringe filled with water, which was connected to another one, and that would allow the arm to move up and down or to open and close the claw. So our goal was to open up a can. Um, I think that we didn't have much of an issue putting it together. We didn't run into a lot of problems. We kind of got a functioning model just from the start. I would say that our design probably wasn't as neat as it could have been. Using cardboard and having been working on it for so long, it started to get a lot flimsier than it was at the start. The edges started to dull and to kind of pull apart. So I think that we definitely could have made it quicker or used some better material that would have kept it looking nice. But overall, we really had the right idea, our design. So the next project after that is we designed a robotic claw that worked kind of similar to the hydraulic arm, where we were tasked to stack blocks on top of each other. So for this one, I think again we really were adaptable. I think was the best thing that we did in this project. We had a lot of setbacks, but I feel like we used it and we ended up improving it. We started off having um, our design wanting to look more like a control board with buttons. Like this is one of the attempts that we made, but it just didn't really end up working. And we ended up switching to a controller and switching our code later on. So I think that we really adapted to it. I think what we did poorly was that we were switching between online school and in person school. So it was hard for us to organize, and every once in a while we would set back other people by doing opposing things to the robot or the code. So we are kind of setting each other back instead of moving forward. So I think having a better communication with how we did stuff would have really helped make our process go along faster. Yeah. And then finally, our last project that we just finished working on was our woodworking projects. So, for our woodworking projects, there wasn't a very specific goal. It was just to reverse engineer some pre made wooden project. So, I went online and I found a foosball table that I thought would be cool to try and recreate. So, there weren't really any instructions for this. We just kind of got the materials that we needed and we just went. So I think that in this project, I really demonstrated a good sense of process in like designing the path that I needed to take, and then kind of following through with that. So as you see, I have sketches from early on and just different pieces. So I never ended up finishing the project, which I think was kind of the biggest flaw. I was learning to use a lot of the different tools, like the bandsaw, the table saw, the drills, all that stuff to kind of to learn. I kind of learned how to use them all. So I feel like if I had redone the project starting now, I'd be able to get through it a lot faster and probably would have been able to finish it within the time that I had. But I might take this home and try and finish it later on. But yeah, so I think that the main thing for this was that I didn't get to finish it, which was kind of the negative side of it. But the positive is that I kind of had it mapped out. And even from this point, I knew what I wanted to do. So it would have just been about just having more time to be able to put the work in and finally finish it up. Yeah, so that's kind of it for my portfolio and the projects that I've done this year. Um, Thank you for your time.